All right, folks, welcome on back here this Wednesday, right? Talking Wednesday. We'll go with March 31st. I'm going to take a look at the calendar. I just came right back to my desk, so I apologize for that. Welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. Let's get a quick sound check just to begin. Make sure everybody could hear me loud and clear. I believe so live from our trading room. Great to see Kathleen, Bonnie, loud and clear from them. Norman, who did a pretty good job on Givo today. Great to see you. Will, Harry, Gina as well. Perfect. All right, and so for all of us joining us on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, welcome on back. Hey, it's kind of like deja vu in the sense of Mara, at least, right? We actually had a pretty good morning going into this afternoon. Markets kind of quieted down a little bit, but we ended up doing really well from the morning. I'll talk about some of the stocks that we traded and actually some that we didn't, but we had on our list. So we actually found our success on stocks that didn't make the watch list. We ended up working together as a team, scanning the market and taking a couple of good wins. So we'll talk about that, like I said, in a second. But Mara, I mean, hey, right back at it at the highs of the day going into the afternoon. It's like teasing us here day over day. So, if you followed this meeting here in the afternoons, you've heard me talk about this even just from yesterday. Normally, these crypto mining stocks do not make a successful continuation going into the afternoon if they're trending really well up or down. Like, hey, even on down days where we see Mara and Riot down 15, 20%, and if they're at the lows, they don't break lower. They end up kind of reversing and going the other way much more often than not. So with this in mind, you'd think maybe short Mara. We're still thinking at this rate, you would want to see a stock push up higher going into the close. There's news that came out on Mara going into yesterday morning. I think they're launching a mining pool of some sort. I got to look further into that, but big headline at least came out. That's what led to Mara's squeeze up yesterday. And now with more news out on Bitcoin altogether, for right now, Mara's pushing up beautifully, pretty much right at the high of the day. I mean, pretty close to 49.55. So for right now, I'll put Mara back on our watch list with hopes of this breaking higher and finally making the big pop and run that we would hope to see. Alongside Mara, though, pardon me there, frog in my throat. The Ebon stock, this is one from the morning alongside Mara is that rad. We ended up doing really well on this trade. Ended up getting the bounce from $7.50 support. Ended up catching the breakout over, I think that was the closing print from yesterday at $7.88 finally. Shot up from that point. So we did really well on the late morning run up. But even here, going into the afternoon, we were calling this out off of 780, 788 here, the closing print, like I was just saying. And for right now, if Mara's popping, look at all of the buying coming in underneath 8. If this could break over 8 and perhaps in particular the order on the ask at 804, it wouldn't shock me to see this make a higher high later on. So, if the stars align, if Mara runs it, I think that Ebon will go with it. The can trade's been a little shaky, right? Like kind of slow for a $21 stock. That Mara has a lot more momentum to it. Ebon's a lot cheaper, so at least we could focus on that. The can trade's still, pushing up nicely, like off the lows, but it's not really like making the biggest, like most volatile run that we've seen from it. So I might hold off on putting this on our list. I think last one, crypto stock like BTBT, not a whole lot happening there. Let me just pop up really quickly the Bitcoin chart just because, hey, there's a reason why I'm talking about this. Right now, live on the hourly, you could see Bitcoin beginning to run back up towards the highs from before. From like 2, 3 in the morning overnight, it ended up popping pretty close to 60K, dropped back down. And since, across the last many hours has been moving back up, but really here, starting to make another pop back up towards the last peak. So, with that, Mara's pushing up pretty nicely. Obviously breaking higher right now, or trying to as we speak. Ebon, hopeful to go with it. If there's any of the other crypto mining stocks that make a big move, then we'll call it out from there. But we'll start with those two to begin. All right, so outside of those two, though, we ended up doing really well on a couple of other stocks. So let's talk about the Wafu Trade, WAFU. We've seen the stock in the past. It looks like finally now dumping back down. And when I say in the past, really just go back to Friday's trading from last week. Ended up seeing Wafu this time make a huge pop right out of the gate, got halted practically off of 10. Once it reopened up, it wasn't too pretty, ended up shaking back down. I don't know if this was a halt on the way down, but ended up obviously recovering and breaking out higher later on. So let's see. Nope, no halt. All right. My stance on that. Typically, when a stock gets halted on the way down, that's typically game over. So it did not get halted on the way down, ended up pulling right back down to where it had gotten halted from, practically off 10. and ended up making the huge bounce from there. I mean, what a trade to see this go up towards 15 and even higher going into the early afternoon. But, for right now, as volatile as it is, and we like volatility here, I just think that this stock has traded way too much volume across the day. The last time it ended up making a beautiful run up from last Friday, I don't even need to go back on the 1-minute chart. You can kind of just see here off the close. It hit a high of 21. It closed at 1266. So that means that it dumped all the way back down there before it had closed. Well, this might have a long ways to go, right? So there's still about like an hour and a half left till the until the market closed today. This might drop back down to 12, might drop down to 11. So I'm not as keen to put this on our list just yet. It is really volatile. Volatility provides opportunity. But yeah, we'll kind of put this on the side list for right now, the WAFU. All right, Dave says Ebon following the SPY today, the S&P ETF. I have the Dow up right now. I actually had the SPY up just beforehand, but I'll check Ebon out just before we finish, Dave. Definitely going to keep it in mind. It's still on our list. One from earlier today, and we didn't do too well on this. It's to say, actually, this went the complete other way. The RKDA. I told you folks I was going to talk about a couple that didn't work out our way. This one was one from pre-market, one that came out with really good news at the time. Ended up, I think it was like phase 3, if I'm not mistaken, but ended up seeing this huge squeeze early in pre-market, dumped back down. And at that point, hey, by 8:30, 9 o'clock, it was starting to get back going again. So we were pretty hopeful to see higher lows build, see this make a nice breakout again. And obviously did not happen. So, this ended up providing us extremely little buying opportunity on this trade at all. I ended up taking, I think it was like a 5 or 6 cent loss from 3. I ended up jumping back in a bit later on from 280, and I ended up doing pretty well from there. Well, I guess I got 6 cents, but, ended up trading a few thousand shares, so it makes up for it. But, it's pretty slow right now. I was telling one of us just before live inside our trading room, to see this stock make another run back up, it's hard to ask for. It's trading 71 million shares total today. Prior to today, the stock's trading like a few 100,000 shares a day. That's it. 500,000 shares, 1 million shares here, but otherwise pretty low volume. It's pretty exhausted as we see it. So maybe it squeaks up like 5 or 10 cents, maybe 15, but I'm not as keen to put this on our list just yet. Perhaps tomorrow, perhaps Friday, perhaps next week. We'll figure it out from there. Oh, actually, perhaps not Friday. Good Friday on the 2nd. Markets are closed this Friday, folks. Keep that in mind as well. Just caught myself there. So the TIGR is the last one I wanted to just, summarize, go over quickly. Then we'll go from top to bottom in tradition. But, this was one that we did much better on, at least from the market open, and more so even heading into the afternoon. Not all of us were watching this trade right out of the gate. I know Andrea was, a few of us live inside our room, but we ended up seeing this make the slingshot, ended up pulling back after the market opened towards 1460, ended up kind of breaking under and over that price, and then just made the run from there. So, ended up building this beautiful trend. And as you can see now, it's still making higher highs, higher lows. But if it doesn't break from 18 cleanly here, or even if it makes a false break once, and then if it fails to break 18 a second time, don't be surprised if the rounded top forms and this begins to go the other way. With that in mind, though, hey, this is pretty volatile and it is shortable. So if it does crap out the other way, we would try and short it. But for right now, focus on the way up here. Focus to see if this could re-break above 18. Seems like we had a lot of buying off the breakout initially. So, that was from 1:35 Eastern earlier today. Wouldn't shock me, actually, if it makes the false breakout off the retest. And then maybe like 5-10 minutes later, it makes the real push you would want to see higher. So definitely on the way up, keep Tiger in mind, TIGR. All right, so with that, let's hop from top to bottom now. What the hell is this? COUR up 1,900%. It's got to be a glitch or something. No, not a glitch, but I guess new IPO that's like running up rampantly right now. New IPO, you could just tell because of the daily chart. There's no historical data aside from this bar, but I mean, just tough to read order book. There's nothing happening here on the bid or the ask to work off of. That's just my only gripe. You have a lot of volume seemingly filled off $41 off the pop. But again, I mean, I'm not really that interested in it just yet. It looks interesting on the run up here, but you figure at some point this thing is going to come right back down. You don't want to try and get caught catching this on the run up here. nor do you want to catch it on the way down. But I'm just saying, with that in mind, this stock's really hard to read in terms of level 3. So we'll probably find much better opportunities than this taking you into the close. DISCB, Discovery B. You know what? We'll actually look at Disc A for a second there. A little bit cheaper. Trading 24 million shares today. Looks like it took a big hit back from Friday last week, but yeah, not really a whole lot to write home about. The Wafu trade we said was going to be on the side list. It's already dumping off, so be careful on that trade now, folks. History has a tendency to repeat itself. All right, here we go. Now we're talking the rail trade. I forgot about this going into the meeting. I mean, we talked about it going into like 2 o'clock, but I laid my eyes off it for a moment. So yeah, right at the high, still pushing up really nicely. For right now, actually breaking over the high from Friday last week. We ended up trading this stock. Ended up hitting a high of 670 here. So for right now, just be a little careful. Obviously, it's still pushing up really nicely, but I feel like at some point we're going to see a bit of a pullback and then maybe the slingshot up higher. So rail definitely going to put on the top of our list alongside the TIGR trade. I think those two I like the most. The Ebon trade I've been killing it on, so I'm pretty happy with that trade. For right now, that stock's at 811 right now. Actually, I'll jump back to the Ebon in just a moment. That's the one stock I'm currently in right now. See what else we got here. TIGR. BNTC is a familiar name. Ended up seeing this make a nice run from last week as well. Not on Friday, but whenever this was, like Wednesday, Tuesday. Ended up making a nice mini run at least here before. You know, tempts me to put this on our list, just provided the afternoon move, but I think for right now I'll pass. All right, really quickly, I just want to just jump back to Ebon just because we were talking about it before. I didn't mention it from the top of the meeting, but I mean, all of our students live inside our trading room, you folks, I've been trading this all day. I'm currently long on this trade right now. I'm in from underneath 8, and then I ended up setting up another entry on 500 shares off the breakout once it just popped 8 here. So I just saw it from the corner of my eye making a pretty sharp move. Just wanted to jump back to this. I could see this stock making a really nice run up with Mara. That's why I put it on our list to begin. But a line that I actually have on this trade that's on my main trading platform. Oh, no, don't tell me I did this again. I got to do this thing again. It's tripped me up on my other screen here, too. Just a quick sec here. Wouldn't shock me for Ebon here to pop back up over this trend line for a little bit here. So for right now, I'm currently long. I'm going to keep a good eye on this position on my other screen. Just kind of fix this around pretty quick. No class today, so we got enough time here to go through, so I have no stress on that. Just going to see what happens on this Ebon just while we continue. All right, so Norman, I want to give Norman a shout out. He's having a pretty good day today. Live inside Cyber Group. He's been killing it on the Gevo stock, if I'm not mistaken, today and yesterday, I think. So we love trading Gevo here. I mean, it's become a great side list stock. It's not one that every single day we'll call out or trade, but given the run up that we had from the beginning of the year and then the drop off, it's shortable. So it provided really good opportunity. So definitely with the way Gevo is looking right now, easily put this on the top of our list too. So we have 4 really good ones actually now with Ebon now popping. Mara looks great too, but that's just a more volatile stock. So for any of our level 1 to 3 students here live inside our trading room, I would definitely say just focus on the others. We have a really strong list to begin. So see what else we got here. Bunch of other familiar names at least. How about this? CLF from earlier today. I thought I saw Kathleen call this out. I saw Rich call this out, one of our instructors here, but ended up making a nice pop, beautiful move, and right back to the highs here. Doesn't get much better. Wow. All right. Damn, we have a really good list here, folks. If it's not going to be one, then it'll just be another. So you don't really need to go anywhere else outside this list, it seems. Sun W, another familiar name, kind of making a choppy little move back up. Still kind of strong towards its highs. I feel like I'll just pass on this for right now. I'll at least put this on the side with Wafu. All right, what else do we have here? EQ is a familiar name. It's trading like really low volume, though. I didn't see that till now. Yeah, I'll pass. And that just about does it from the gainer side, really. That's all I got from the gainer side. Any other big names that you see that's up, type it in the chat board. I'll hop over to the losers list. From there, the DCTH stands out to me. This ended up making a huge pop off of what we thought would be good news earlier in the morning. I mean, something to do, I guess, with I think eye cancer, some form of eye cancer treatment. Nonetheless, though, we ended up seeing it make a huge pop off the news. Well, completely crapped out the other way after. More of our students caught this off the dead cat bounce in pre-market. Ended up seeing this make a nice squeeze roughly from 1050-ish here. So I saw Phil and Chuck do really well on those trades from before. But for right now, it's like really flat. So, even after the market opened, it made a nice run, a second little squeeze here, but pulled back, pretty weak right now, flat. Kind of just pass on this. Keep it in mind for tomorrow, though, and rest of the week, or next week, I should say. Keep tripping over that, right? I keep forgetting Friday. Good Friday. Markets are closed. Of course, Easter Sunday ahead. Yeesh, how about Genius? What an ugly trade this has been. Talk about wasting my time. I ended up wasting my time on Genius earlier today. So, we ended up catching the pop in pre-market, and then after the market opened up, we caught this for about like 5 or 6 cents from 215, I think it was, or 216. It did all right, but we wanted a hell of a lot more compared to not just this move here, but also what had happened from yesterday. We ended up seeing much similar to the DCTH from just before on Genius yesterday. Ended up seeing what we thought was good news coming out, pop, then completely crapped out. So ended up kind of fooling us again here. Ended up making another dump off once more. And at the lows of the day right now, it's just not worth watching. But I don't want this to tease us over and over. It was a really fun stock to trade, over the last several months off of news. I mean, last year, really, right? Back from, summer 2020 here. But of course, going back into January, we traded this back from, end of last week. All right. Let's see what else. Any other familiar names or anything else that looks good otherwise? Shortable stocks, perhaps, on the losers list. Not really. BlackBerry off of earnings. I knew that was coming. Just really choppy and slow. So pass on this. All right. Let's see what you guys got here in the chat board. Anything from Scott? The ABCL moving up nicely. Interesting ticker. I don't know if that's OTC. Is it? No, it's not. Interesting. I've just never seen the ticker before. So ABCL, yeah, at the highs of the day, up 24%. Trading a 1.5 mil shares. Just the only issue on this, right? You know what I'm going to say. The order book's too thin. It's too spread out, too thin. It's just tough to read. So, if you're trying to gamble, or if you have, hey, if you have a different strategy that makes it easier to trade the stock, then go for it. But in terms of tape reading and reading the orders on level 3, can't use it. It's just going to be tough to day trade with that. I appreciate that call, though, because this was a really nice run at the highs. I guess I just skipped over it. CLF asking Dan here on YouTube. So we already talked about CLF just a moment ago. Actually, I may have caught that comment a bit late. Looks like he called that out at 242. So yeah, I mean, this is already on our list, looking just as strong here at this point. All right, so you know what? Let me hop over to Benzinga Pro here, and we'll finish up from there. For all of us on social media, I'll just say for right now, if you're interested in learning more about what we do, make sure first and foremost that you like and subscribe right on our YouTube channel, that being youtube.com/cybertradingu. Otherwise, feel free to join us and join us inside our live trading room. Go right down to the link on the banner below to sign up. But otherwise, here on Benzinga Pro, no other like real big pops or drops that I see, at least. Maybe I'll check out a couple of other side list stocks before we part ways, like Neo, Palantir. Those were great stocks from earlier today, too. Neo's right at that same high again from 39. How about that? So we actually watched Neo from earlier today. We put it on our pre-market list, at least, with hopes of this making the blast from 39. It went the complete other way. Provided great opportunity as a short. Looks like this already cracked over 39 as well just a moment ago. So you know what? Actually, I'm happy I turned over to this trade. I'll put this trade right back on our watch list here, the Neo. Palantir, not as much. PLTR. Big pop on the UWMC right now. I'm getting that from Benzinga Pro, from 784 up to 8. Just, a lot of volume filled over the last 3 minutes. So that I love to see. but I feel like it would have made a bigger move if like news came out of some sort. This might just be like kind of like a false move here. I'll keep this on our side list for right now, and then if this ends up popping 8, we'll definitely focus on it from there. It's already popping 8. All right, you sold me. We don't have too big of a list like we had yesterday. So the UWMC, and then on top of that, if this is a false breakout, well, you know what I'll say. So Norman asking about bingo here, BNGO. Let's take a look on bingo pretty fast. Yeah, this is up a lot more. I like this more than that UWMC, actually. I'm not going to scratch the other one off, but I'll add this too, bingo. Pretty interesting. Bingo's not popping up on my Benzinga radar right now. For some reason, it's at the highs. It should be. I got a couple more here. How about this? And you'll see what else we got. QLGN just popping right now. It's actually up a lot more percentage-wise than that UWMC trade. I'm not going to put this on our list just yet. Just want to see a lot more to happen out of it. SunPower, SPWR, running at the highs here, up over 7+% at 34, making a very similar type of run as NEO right now. They're not in the same business. I'm just saying in terms of the direction up. And then also just one from our list already. We already talked about this. It's near the top of our list. The rail trade is still at the highs. I just got a ping from Benzinga Pro, just like snuck a cent higher, but that's still really strong. So we're not really at a shortage of stocks taking us into the afternoon. So I think I'm going to stop while I'm ahead here. I love this list, and for right now, I would just suggest for you to start with 1 or 2 of these, and if neither work in a good manner or make a big move in the next 5 or 10 minutes, then pick another 2 and then rescan the market perhaps from there. Look back in the chat board inside our trading room, see what else we're calling out at the time. All right. So for all of us on social media, enjoy the rest of the day today. For all of us live inside the trading room, at least for right now, I will jump back on the mic pretty shortly, at least, if not by 3:30, then perhaps a bit earlier by like 3:15. All right, I'll talk to you all soon.